Alicia, Powe with the Gateway Pundit, and we're here with Brian Kolfage, triple amputee veteran who is building a wall on the southern border. Brian, tell us what we last saw you all over the news. You started a GoFundMe, and you got like $25 million in contributions back in December 2018. In just a few days, a few weeks. But we haven't heard much about what's happened with your project since then. It was We Fund the Wall, and now it's We Build the Wall, this nonprofit organization you started since.
Yeah, and I think what happened was these globalist media organizations realized that we're actually going forward and building the wall, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. And they pretty much just pulled the plug on us because we were actually doing something to fight back, and it was very powerful of the people coming together to build a wall when the government wasn't getting the job done. And
it's crazy. I haven't seen a single interview with you again on Fox News or any mainstream outlet. No stories about Brian Kolfage or We Build the Wall. So it just goes to show how globalist our mainstream media is, right?
Right. And the only time they do even put anything in the news about We Build the Wall is when it's potentially bad. But there's really nothing bad going on. They try to spin things that make it sound like we're being stopped or this or that. But, ultimately it shows that we're getting the job done, and they're trying to show the negativity of it, but there really is no negativity because we're getting the job done just as we originally intended to. And it still shows the American people that we're down there on the border, building border walls, regardless of what's going on in the media.
Well, walk us through what happened then, since a lot of people, viewers probably don't know. What happened after December? You joined forces with some of the heavy hitters in the political arena, like Steve Bannon and Tom Tancredo and some of the Angel Moms. I think they're on the advisory board of We Build the Wall.
Yeah, and that was crucial to getting a support network of hardcore conservatives who understand the importance of border security, and people have been affected by it. And after that GoFundMe, after we created it and shifted it, I learned that we couldn't give the money to the federal government. There's no way we could give the money to the federal government. They weren't going to take it with the Democrats in control. And so we devised a plan just to build the wall ourselves. And that was Steve Bannon's idea. He was just like, Brian, why don't you just build the wall? And I was like, perfect, we're going to build the wall. And just like that, it happened. And we needed to come up with a plan to move the money forward out of the GoFundMe. And so we created a nonprofit called We Build the Wall, which is a 501c4. And we worked with GoFundMe as well on this because, it did shift. So the original money that we raised was for the government, and to give it to the nonprofit, we had to basically raise the money all over again. So we had to contact every single person who donated. It was something around 350,000 people. And we had to ask them if they wanted to carry their money forward to this new nonprofit. And we got most of the people to opt into it and carry the money forward. But about 20% of the people we couldn't reach because the data was wrong from GoFundMe. So we lost about $6 million, I believe, just because we couldn't contact people, which was ridiculous. But nonetheless, we still ended up with, today close to $25 million raised. And this nonprofit has just been building border walls. We built a border wall in Sunland Park, New Mexico, which is right next to El Paso. It completely changed the game. And we completed that in June. And now we're down in Texas working on another project. And this project will also change the game for Texas.
Well, I think it's important we're having this conversation now because a lot of people just don't know what happened after that. The only way we find out is if we do a Google search. We can follow you on Twitter and everything, but I bet you'd be inundated with more donations if people actually knew where to donate and what's going on. But also, while we're all focused, the whole nation's focused on this impeachment sham, you are basically highlighting all the insanity going on at the border every day. You got people getting set on fire, cartel burning people alive at the border.
Esto le pasará a todos los pinches mugrosos de los escorpiones y ciclones que andan cagando el palo aquí en rojo. Tú, pinche negrito joto, sigue mandando a tus pendejos.
Tell us about what happened with the International Boundary and Water Commission. because it hasn't just been, oh, we're going to build the wall. It's been an obstruction by a bureaucratic agency all along the way. And that still is the problem, right?
Right. Well, the IBWC was formed, I think, back in the 1800s. And it's like a UN type organization where the United States president appoints one person to oversee the United States side, and then the Mexican president appoints one person to oversee the Mexican side. And this organization basically controls our borders. The Homeland Security doesn't control them. Border Patrol doesn't control them. This international organization that's half owned by corrupt Mexico controls our border. And so there's a lot of politics that comes in to play. And these Mexican officials, who a lot of them are corrupt, and it's proven they're corrupt, have say on what goes on our border on the United States side. And of course, they didn't like our wall going up in Sunland Park, New Mexico. It was a main smuggling route. And, they got a lot of pushback from those cartels and those people on that side who didn't want that route shut down. And so we felt the ultimate, basically the government, trying to push back on us because of this. And it just shows us how screwed up the whole system is, where we have an international group like the UN controlling our border, telling us what to do, telling our Border Patrol what to do. We had some rocks fall over the borderline, just a few rocks, a couple boulders. And the IBWC knew about this, but they didn't say anything about it until after the wall went up. And the wall went up in a mountain. And so we can't just send excavators up a mountain after the wall's been up. And they're asking us to remove these rocks that fell into Mexico. They're saying the Mexican politicians and the Mexican IBWC wants these rocks removed. Well, the landowner in Mexico says he doesn't give a damn about the rocks, and he likes them there. And that's what we told the IBWC. We're like, the landowner doesn't care. He likes his rocks. There's no problem. And they still are like just harassing us and not giving us the proper permits because of these rocks. And it's just political.
They just want an open border. In fact, what happened in June, which many people might have saw this coverage of it, like they opened the gate to the new wall you built, and 1,000 illegal immigrants just flooded right on through in a matter of moments.
Yeah, and that's the second issue, is the gate, where we're trying to turn this wall over to DHS and Border Patrol and give them full control. It's their wall. We built it for them. But there's this gate now, and the gate was something they asked for. So they have a gate so they can get in. But instead of doing the common sense thing of shutting the gate and locking it, waiting to go in, they leave it wide open Monday through Friday all day long. And they say it's because still open right now. Anyone can go on our website, and we have live cameras up watching the gate right now. Hundreds and thousands of people watch that video camera and are watching what's going on. The IBWC says they leave it open for those workers, but there's no workers going through, and people are seeing that live, that there's no workers going through. There might be like one worker a week that will go through, and that's it. And why can't they just have a key?
Well, now the head of this commission, the head of the IBCW, I looked her up. Her name's Jane Harkins. She was recommended by a never Trumper, Dean Heller. So she's a leftist. There's lots of evidence to show she's a left-leaning Democrat. And then the liaison who works at the State Department, which is supposed to oversee the IBCW, his name's Dan Saines. He worked for Tim Kaine. So you can't expect much oversight or accountability from the State Department on behalf of this obscure UN-type organization that no one's even ever heard of that's controlling our border.
Right. And it just shows you just the level of complexity, and just, this is what President Trump deals with every day. And we're starting to see it now. Just how much is against this wall. And it's basically the deep state. We're dealing with all these deep state people who are Hillary Clinton, Obama lovers. They're deeply embedded within our government. and they're doing everything to obstruct any type of border security. And it's, if it's just because President Trump's in office. It's a Trump derangement syndrome, and they don't want him to have any victory.
And now you are attempting to build a second section of the border. The first you did about how many miles? And it was near El Paso.
It was like about 3/4 of a mile. It was just a hole, a gap that went up a mountain. So we plugged that gap. And now this next one is 3.5 miles. And
again, there's another left-leaning organization, environmentalist organization that says now they're saying insects are more important than American citizens. A butterfly reservation, a butterfly museum.
They're called the National Butterfly Center, and they're not a national anything. They're trying to sound like there's some like federal museum. They named themselves the National Butterfly Center, and it's nothing more than a piece of land out in the middle of nowhere, right on the border, where illegal aliens are crossing every single day. Cartels are coming onto their property, and it should be called the National Cartel Center or something, rather than the National Butterfly Center.
So you've been giving a restraining order by a district judge to stop building, and now there's reports saying, the defiant, we build the wall. They're still building even though the judge gave them the restraining order to stop. But I guess I understand you're just clearing brush and making way for construction.
Yeah, they're not smart enough to read the fine print and understand what all the terminology means. And so they think that we can't do anything, which they're wrong. And we're still doing construction down there. It's still moving forward. It's just the physical wall is not being concreted into the ground until we get the approval from the IBWC. Which
will that even happen?
We think we're gonna get it. They can't say no. It's in federal. Well, they can say no, but they can't delay it. It's in federal court. Everyone's watching them now, and ultimately, everything they asked for, we have supplied them with it. So we'll see.
Well, no, you gave them a 6-page overview of a hydrology report, right?
Yeah.
Because their job is essentially to clear brush from the water. And there's the Rio Grande River there between the United States and Mexico. And that's where the border is, essentially, right? In that water. So their job is to clear brush. And it's the same. They have a similar organization on the Canadian border. But I guess evidently it's not run by leftist hacks.
No.
And they're not clearing the brush, right? They're just trying to enforce immigration.
Yeah, they're trying to enforce the law, like federal law, or just make up their own laws more or less, and be a nuisance to anyone who's trying to protect the country down there. And they've grown too big. They were formed in the 1800s over water. They're supposed to control the waterways, and the things they're doing have grown. They've grown too large, and they have too much power. They've had corruption about 10 years ago, major corruption, because there is no oversight. And anyone can look up the IBWC corruption and see what happened. And frankly, it's just another entity of the government that has gotten too big, too powerful, and is implementing their own political beliefs to fight against the president.
Has We Build the Wall been in touch with the Trump administration? I see Fisher Companies, the contracting company you got to build the wall, do the construction. The CEO, it was his name, Tommy Fisher. Trump wants to hire him to build the wall. So is that a way that you guys are working together with the administration?
No, not really. What Tommy Fisher's doing is his own company project, and that's his own stuff. But we have Chris Kobach and Steve Bannon and a lot of people that are tied in with the Trump administration. So we're able to back channel things to the Trump administration and let them know what we're doing. And we've gotten the support of the president firsthand. We have had people meet with the president who inform him directly what's going on, and President Trump loves what we're doing. But he doesn't come out and support much, because we believe that the leftists will try to use it against him by saying, this private industry is doing more than he's doing, and things they'll try to spin it. So we believe that's why he's quiet about it up in the forefront, but supporting us in the back.
Well, I think now the Trump administration has just gotten 60 miles done of the 409 miles. or 450 miles the administration plans to build before 2020. That's just
Right.
13%. How much do you think $25 million is going to build of the wall?
$25 million won't go that far. I mean, it's only going to build a couple miles, and we're still raising money, and we just got to keep hammering at it, little chunks at a time. Even if we raise $500,000 a month, it's still going to allow us to keep this going and keep building wall every single month.
But if every Trump supporter donates $80, then you'll have enough to build the entire wall.
That is correct. We could build the entire 2,000-mile border if every single person who voted for Trump would give $80. And it's that easy. That easy. And there's also people who
knew about it, they do it. I think people will hear this and probably be more inclined to go and give their $80 to build a wall, hopefully.
Yeah, I think we've proven it that we can start building too. We've proven now that we can build wall. When we originally raised this money, we was on an idea that, hey, we're going to go try to build a wall. But now we actually did it. We've proven ourselves. DHS has endorsed us. Border Patrol has endorsed us. What greater cause than stay home, don't eat dinner for a couple weeks, or don't go out and eat dinner for a couple weeks at a restaurant. Save that money, put it forward to We Build the Wall, and help us build wall.
Yeah, and then people were apprehensive because the fake news media was trying to smearing you and your organization, and then we didn't hear about you again.
Right. Just like we were saying, I went out and bought a yacht and bought a jet and doing all these vacations, and it's all bull crap. And I haven't been paid a penny from We Build the Wall. Everything I'm doing for this organization is volunteer. Everyone around me and we have employees who are getting paid, but I'm not being paid at all. So I think it's important for people to realize that.
But just a few miles that you've built already, you've got Border Patrol agents and Border Patrol chiefs saying, hey, we don't have half the people flooding in anymore. It's making our life so much easier, and giving your organization praise. And just like a quarter of a mile already, or less than a mile.
Yeah, exactly. That quarter of a mile, just these little smuggling routes. They're just little gaps in the wall that the cartels are exploiting. And those are the things that need to be plugged. Like we could have a bigger impact by plugging these little gaps that may be a mile or 2 miles or a half a mile, rather than building hundreds of miles out in the middle of the desert, because those aren't utilized as much by the cartels. They want to use these small little holes in urban areas where they can easily get in and hide. And that's what they do.
So you spend a lot of time at the border now, I presume, right?
Yeah, a lot.
Well, I've spoken with a source who says a part of the reason why there's so much problems with getting a wall built is because the farmers and ranchers there, while they say they want a border wall and they're tired of the illegal immigrants flooding through, they're actually profiting from the immigrants, the illegals. They're getting paid by them to help them get across. Do you know anything about that?
If that's happening, I think it's a very small percentage, and it's 100% happening. There's so much corruption down there on the border. The cartels control a lot. The cartels send their children to American schools right across the border in McAllen, Texas. They send their kids to American schools. They have the money to do that. They're paying off politicians all the time. They're paying off sheriffs. They're paying off FBI agents. It's happened. It's in the news, but people just don't look it up and research it. It's 100% there's corruption going on. When you have that much money, it's easy to influence people. It's easy to get your way, and that's what they're doing. And there are people who are 100% benefiting from it. And it's sad, but it's just the reality of the situation. But there are a lot of people who do support the wall. And one of the issues with the current wall, why they don't support it, is because the wall is going up in some locations a mile, 2 miles inland in Texas. They put it on the levee because the IBCW normally doesn't let people build in the floodplain. And so when you put a mile or a wall a mile inland, it's not stopping anybody. Anyone can come in still. There's no protection there. So what we're doing is putting the wall right on the borderline, almost right near the water. So when people come up to the water, they hit the wall. They don't get to come in a mile and then basically be in the United States. So this is why there's a lot of controversy going on right now, because we're doing what Border Patrol wants and what these agents said would work the best by putting the wall on the border. And the ranchers don't want the wall in their front yard. Like, I wouldn't want a big 30-foot wall on my front yard. cutting through my property. The butterfly people didn't want the wall cutting through their property on the front yard. Well, we're putting it in the backyard on the water, and it's not 30 feet. It's 18 feet, and it's more visibly easier to see through it. It's got larger gaps to let wildlife and animals through, but a human can't fit. And it's the solution for Texas. Ultimately, when this wall goes up in Texas, it's going to change Texas, and more border wall is going to get built because of it.
It just doesn't make any sense. How it's not that complicated. It doesn't seem from the average person watching how complicated it is to build a wall. Now you've got butterflies you got to protect. You have floods. You need 100-page plus hydrology report that no one's going to probably read the 100 pages of. These bureaucracy.
Yeah, and then what's crazy is if you look on Google Earth in Mexico, there's all these $1 million mansions right on the water, right across from where we're building the wall, that are built in the floodplain. And so the IBWC is a joint organization. So why is the Mexican IBWC allowed to build these mansions on the water when in the United States we can't build anything in the floodplain? It doesn't make sense. So are they more favorable to the Mexicans, or is there corruption on the Mexican side with the IBWC? Something's not right. Something's not adding up. And for them to make a fuss about us putting a fence up on private property on the border, there's clearly an issue.
I mean, one thing I see from looking into the IBCW is, why would President Trump appoint Jane Harkins? Or why? I don't want to, the president's doing a lot. Look at what you're going through. Can we imagine what he has to go through? But there's so many people around the president that should have been nowhere near the administration and not gotten these appointments.
Yeah, and exactly. And no one knows what the IBWC is. President Trump I guarantee he had no clue what the heck the IBWC was. He was like, if someone explained it to him, they're the water commission, they oversee the water in Mexico. If you read their mission statement, yeah, okay, we can have a Democrat oversee that, someone who's liberal, not a big deal. But the influence they have over everything on that border is the most important position for anything going on that border. And that's why it's a screw up to have a liberal in that position, because of how influential
they're doing it to Customs and Border Protection too, with the 60 miles they've built already. Probably the same kind of fights going on that no one's reporting about.
The agents hate them. They hate the IBWC. They hate them because they leave these gates open. There's these gates all along the border that the IBWC needs access to so they can get down to the water and do their studies, and they leave them wide open. And that's where all these migrants come from. They come through these open gates. And what's the point of having a border wall if the IBWC is leaving the gates open for people that's coming? Well, the largest group of migrants that ever come to the United States at one time happened in El Paso. I believe it was back in May, or it was May or July. And they came through an open gate that the IBWC left open. It wasn't our gate. It was a different gate a couple miles up the road. But the gate was open. 1,000 people all at once entered the United States, all on video.
It's like common sense. People who say a border wall won't stop illegal immigration. Well, don't you leave your gate open?
Yeah.
People are going to come through. Like, is it really? Why else would they be leaving that gate open? Like, why do we have to have this elementary, basic questions? It's like they're trying to mind trick everybody to the most elementary 1 + 2 = 1 + 2 = 3 things.
Yeah, and it's like, if in the military, and I was in the military, if someone left something open like that, like a gate, and there's a security breach, you'd be fired. You'd be fired and kicked out so fast. So why is there no accountability to these people who are doing this and leaving our nation unsecure when we have this gate that should be locked up when people go through, when they're done working, lock the gate up, and they leave it wide open.
Is there anything else we should know about We Build the Wall, and how can we support you?
Yeah,
what do you need?
We're these projects are 100% driven by the American people and donations, and we've raised over $2 million off of people giving $5. I think it's very important. A lot of people think that they can't make a difference, but they can make a difference. And if they can give $5, that's all it takes is $5 to make a difference. $2 million will build as a mile of wall in some locations. It just depends. But it goes a long way to continue this mission, to keep securing our country. And without the American people, this project wouldn't be happening. And we've proven that we can get the job done, and we just need to keep this project going to help the president secure the nation.
Yeah, you got the last one built in just 4 days of a Memorial weekend. That's amazing.
Yeah, and it just
4
shows
days.
what the American people can do in a time of need.
So we go to We Build the Wall. Everyone give $80, and we can build the whole wall.
Yeah,
we build the 500-mile
wall.
border.
Yeah, webuildthewall.us. A lot of people go to webuildthewall.com, but that's someone else's website. It's not ours. So it's webuildthewall.us.
Well, thank you, Brian. Thank you for your service. Thank you for everything you're continuing to do to keep our country safe.
Thank you. All right, now go check out the live cameras too on our website. People can go watch the live cameras we have set up of our current wall in Sutherland Park, New Mexico. You can watch the IBWC not go through the gate all day if you want, and just check it out.